Hello there! Welcome to watching VideoGaming Father's video review of side-scrolling action platformer with a teleporting main hero called Rift Racoon. Can one find here any catching science fiction story explaining the background of the untraditional main hero with his supernatural ability? And is this ability properly used in the game? Is it just a traditional platformer that we could see in various forms many times before, or are there any innovative mechanics enhancing the gameplay? Can one find here interesting level design and variable environment preventing the game from early stereotype? And is it one of these games where one can find interesting and variable enemies? Is the game enjoyable even for casual players, or will the game difficulty let them suffer in each step? Are the game controls responsive and precise enough, or will you struggle with them all time long? Are the game audiovisuals attractive enough to provide even better game experience? Is there any local multiplayer making the game more entertaining? Just bear with me for the next few minutes and we will find it out together. This story. There must be some interesting science fiction story explaining where the raccoon got the teleporting ability, right? It was probably the subject of some army experiments to create an ultimate weapon helping to fight against the evil invaders. Or he just got by the accident to some super secret testing facility where he ate some radioactive material giving him supernatural abilities. Such scenarios wouldn't be super original, but would still provide some foundation for the solid story. Unfortunately, you won't find it here. The main hero, the raccoon called Tucker, finds himself in some kind of laboratory in the beginning, and by the short, and undubbed by the way, animations, you will understand that he is a good friend with the scientists that guide him through his abilities in the short tutorial, and where he also gets the magic necklace allowing him to teleport himself to the short distances. But that's it. No deeper story that would be developed further. In the short game description you can find out that the Tucker needs your help to find his way back home and avoid the mysterious robot that doesn't get off his tail. This is almost not reflected in the game itself, which is a pity, as such an interesting idea would deserve a better story for sure. Okay, let's get to the gameplay now. As I have already mentioned, the beginning serves as a tutorial where one has a chance to test the raccoon abilities. What are they? Well, mostly the traditional ones like moving left, right, jumping, climbing the walls or sliding down. The raccoon has a claws that allow him to climb quite high, but this ability is not unlimited, so there is some, let's say, cooldown during which he cannot climb up further and starts to slide down. Soon you will see that this requires precise timing not to fall off the wall or hit the omnipresent spikes. And in the tutorial you will find out that there will be probably many annoying spikes in the game. You will also learn that there are checkpoints in the game, hooray, and some diamonds worth collecting. Nobody explains you why. Maybe because they are just diamonds that are always worth. At the end of this tutorial, Tucker gets his necklace giving him the magical ability of teleportation either vertically or horizontally on short distances. Soon you will find out that the teleporting distance is strictly determined, so you need to be precise with choosing the place where you start your teleportation from. Otherwise Tucker will appear himself in the middle of the wall or in the spike field. Now let's have a look at how the level design uses the raccoon's abilities. Here they are tested properly from the very beginning. The game serves you obstacles in the form of walls, spikes and holes and their combinations literally in every step. So typically you would need to teleport yourself by jumping vertically, not to appear inside the wall, measure the distance to teleport raccoon between the walls and not end up in the spikes, jump on the walls to be able to climb them before cooldown, for your climbing ability starts, teleporting while jumping vertically to get through the long obstacles, or teleporting while climbing. The game requires preciseness and very fast reflexes. We will get to this a little bit later yet, but I am going to warn you right now. Just be prepared for a lot of deaths. After the first few levels in the mostly grey lab, you will get to the outside world inspired by Super Mario and other platformers. Brown ground covered by green grass, trees and bushes. Here comes the new element making the difficult gameplay even more challenging. Vertical moving platforms. You will need to either jump or teleport yourselves between them either horizontally or vertically with very precise timing, as they usually move at different speeds or get to the spiked field at some point. When you think that the game cannot be more difficult yet, the small bulbs that you need to use for getting somewhere comes. They are usually placed in the high spots where you need to get by using the teleport once you are on the top of your jump, and then you have only a split second to get to another bulb or some platform, as the bulb keeps you in the air for just a short moment. And that's actually it. This is how the game is played all time long, jumping, climbing and teleporting. There are no weapons and enemies, most likely because the game is difficult enough even without them, no inventory, no skills that could be upgraded, just pure platforming. As I have already mentioned it, let's take a closer look at the game difficulty and controls. And they are actually the deciding factor why I was suffering rather than enjoying the game. I honestly do not remember when I had died so many times in the first few levels like I did in the Rift Racoon. It is mainly because you need to do the accurate actions at the exact moments. Every millimeter and split of second plays a role here to decide whether your action will be successful or not. The choice between normal and casual difficulty has minimal effect. Casual will give you just one additional life, so you do not die immediately but have one more attack. Even short levels and checkpoints do not save it much here, and you will be dying literally in every step made, as the game controls make it even worse. There are many situations where you need to do many actions one after another very quickly. For example, you need to jump, teleport upwards in the highest spot in which you need to hold a button or key for up direction, and being there you need to quickly release the up button to teleport your raccoon in a horizontal way. And you need to manage to do all of these actions in a split second. But the controls are not very well prepared for such actions, and their responsiveness is quite controversial. Sometimes you manage to do the actions requested, but sometimes your raccoon is teleported upwards twice, or the jump is not high enough, etc. I have played the game on an Xbox controller, and sometimes it even happened to me that I got the pause menu while pressing the jump button. So the clunky controls are not so well prepared for the game that requires such precision in distance and time. The difficulty and control do not make the game experience very enjoyable. How about the game audio visuals? Rift Racoon has nice retro graphics in 16-bit console style. It's pixelated but detailed and colorful enough. However, the problem I can see here is the sterile environment. Most of the time you will see just boring concrete walls in the lab levels or brown ground later. I have already said that there are no enemies in the game, but there could be some animated or interactive objects to make the game less sterile. For example, some scientists doing the experiments in the lab or flying birds and butterflies in the outdoor levels. As for the music, the game has nice 16-bit retro soundtrack that perfectly fits the game with enough music tracks so they do not become repetitive too soon. The sounds on the other hand are rather average and there is no dubbing of course. Okay, let's get to the final verdict then. Is Rift Racoon the type of game that will drag you in and won't let you out for a long time? One can find some positives here indeed. Interesting game mechanics based on teleporting, interesting level design, nice retro graphics and soundtrack, and cute raccoon in the main role. However, there are many downsides preventing players, at least the casual ones, from enjoying the game properly. Punishing rather than challenging gameplay, clunky controls, exaggerated emphasis in preciseness, absence of proper story, low variability and sterility of environment, no upgrades or other RPG elements, early stereotype, and also the absence of local multiplayer. I cannot really recommend this game for family playing, as no one would probably enjoy collecting software here. Rift Racoon costs €4 on Steam, and I'm afraid that this time I cannot recommend the game even with some discount. Rift Racoon promises the fun in good old 90s platforming style, and it could be really delivered with some more effort and sensitive implementation of modern game elements. Mainly the more levels of difficulty, not to be so uncompromising when it comes to preciseness of your moves, responsive controls, and some upgrades enhancing the gameplay. Like this, I cannot really recommend the game, and thus I am giving it thumbs down and VideoGaming Father's index 4 out of 10, not recommended. Thank you for spending your time by watching my Rift Racoon video review, and if you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumb up, and also consider subscribing to my VideoGaming Father's channel. See you soon!